Welcome to the Friendly Jimmy's podcast.
Hello,
What are we doing, Jordan?
Well, you're helping me out for once. I'm sick of you bumming responsibilities. Here's the thing. You know that aquarium that you guys told me to get? That was completely against my volition. I didn't want to do any of this stuff. You've just been pushed into it. So you twisted my arm. I did get it at a freshwater aquarium, exactly as you said. Didn't get any coaxing from me from that. I was pushing for the marine the whole time. But you said freshwater. I said, all right. Now I've got a problem. Does the positioning look right? All right, now let me just look.
Dude, this is a fucked podcast.
This is horrible.
Yeah! All right, let's
So just for a disclaimer, for those of you who've just joined, Jordan and Miss Love both are very, very tipsy.
No, I'm fine. I'm just eating Chinese food.
Okay, 1 out of 3 of us is drunk.
I'm
be the judge.
I'm getting to tipsy though. I want to get there.
It's definitely not the guy who's holding the camera and showing you branches for no reason during the podcast.
But do you think that this design is all right, or is it too busy, or what's the deal?
What are they saying?
Like this part needs to stay. That's going to stay like that. That's that part. That part's going to be filled with moss. But is the branches all right, or is it too busy?
How do you say? Yeah, okay. Poll. No, not even poll. Just tell us. Are the branches okay, or is it too busy? And my OnlyFans is ticking along just great. I got $160. Give me more.
All right, I think the footage has been shown.
No.
Jordan zooming it in like it's fucking Titanic.
Okay, they're saying busy as fuck, but I mean, like, I think that's a good thing personally. Why? That's how we want it.
So what happens? What happens if I do this, boys?
What? Damn, live.
Why we are live on the main pod, not even the pre-show. They're saying it's great. This is how you should do it.
No, it's
they
lying.
get rid of that?
They're saying put it in a cave, spread them out more so you can see the fish better. I disagree. Way better now. I say way better now.
People are saying it's missing fish.
Yeah, I think these stupid cunts are onto something.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It might be right.
Don't know if
piss.
today's podcast was the best idea. I'm just going to call it now. Like Fox News called Arizona, I'm calling them that this was a bad idea for the pod.
What about that?
Let's see. See, I like that. I like how it goes out because it's like, because then they can adventure around a bit down there, you know, when they are in there.
How does that look, Pete?
You need plants.
I think they just.
Yeah, we know that.
That's it. They're saying it's missing you. Get in.
They said much better.
Hey, where do we put this up?
Don't worry, I'll set it up. Just come back and have a seat.
So what do they reckon? They reckon too busy.
Well, why don't you, Miss Love, can you entertain the audience? By the way, we're live and this is the main podcast.
Look,
So?
I honestly think, so what? I think, look, I don't know if you think about this, Jordan, but not every stranger on the internet's opinion is valid.
But what about the aggregate opinion of them? I mean, the aggregate opinion of the internet was that Trump was going to win the last election. Look how that turned out.
Well, I didn't say that, but yeah, you're right. It was the average. Way too much shit in there. They're all saying it's better now, spread out. I think it looks good with that one coming out like that because then it's like, ooh, the fishies are going down a train line. All stops to Fish Finger Mountain, that kind of thing. I like it going out a bit. They're saying it's too busy. But no.
I think they might be right, dude.
No, they said it was too busy before when it was going up.
Yeah, but what about that
now?
branch now? What do you think about the branch edition of the all stops to Green Gops? How's that working?
Bethnal Green. Can we get a fish cam? That's already been done. Yeah, we'll get some. No, we're not going to get squids, actually. They don't live in fucking fresh water.
Fuck you guys.
Looks good. Looks good now with the fish train. I agree. Needs more fish. Ha ha. Piss tank. Squid tank. You guys are crack ups. Show the piss tank. There is no piss tank.
There's no piss tank. We're not going to fill it with urine.
Fish when they return.
We're not putting Ali in charge of it.
Yeah, look. I think the consensus is these guys are all retards.
All right, how about the consensus?
No, I think they might be right. I think it's too busy.
Well, what do you want to do? Fucking have one twig in there?
Yeah.
No.
No, not one twig, but let's be reasonable. Maybe 5 fucking huge branches for that tank is pushing it.
Definitely.
I
pushing
disagree.
it. Even that I know.
So you reckon that I think it even is better without that all strands to Gringotts.
What?
That's my personal opinion. I think it actually looks better with just like less branches and more rock.
Literally.
What do you think about that?
I think you're off your rocker.
You think I'm off my rock?
That's what I think. But look, I'm not a fucking...
Do you think that I should rock on, Ali?
I think you're already rocking too much.
Is this your part of the part of your dreams, Ali? That's what
This is the part of my dreams.
More rock would be sick. Rembish. I don't trust
Put
you.
like a little Blink 182 figurine in there. You're good.
Can you buy that?
Probably. Let's be honest.
For
They're
the
probably
right
one of those
price.
like big-headed things that everybody gets.
Look, we are discerning here between like, should I have a stick this big or this big? Like, but
yeah.
kind of.
And these are the questions that I need answered from you people.
Well,
Like honestly, I have not been more stressed about something in a long time.
Right, well,
and recently, my business almost just fell apart. I didn't even give a shit about that.
Owning
It was
a-
just about the positioning of this tank.
yeah, I think this
true.
is. I think this
And you
is a
made
good-
several videos about the positioning of the tank too.
I think this is a good. I think Michael Ricow has a really good point. Owning a fish tank is long, skinny dick energy.
You ain't wrong.
And then there's about
What's like what are they called? Like a woodpecker cock.
I suppose so. And then there's about 50 comments saying squid tank.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your help as always, my little conies. It's just so great that this is a very reciprocal relationship and you can take something seriously.
Just put some table salt in it and put squids there.
One table salt.
Okay, sea salt, fine.
table
Sea salt.
Just do the Simpsons like a little salt, a little fresh. And then when they go in the middle, go, yeah, perfect.
Can we also do the coffee thing?
Yeah, but I'm mixing it with boo.
Jesus
Holy
Christ,
shit,
that was not
Irish
the
Irish
point.
coffee.
Dude, Irish coffee it up. That would be kind of nice though. Coffee and coffee and sake.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Coffee and sake does work. But the point
Oh,
was,
damn, Ali knows.
the point was
I'm not doing that, but
that
respect.
the Friendlyjordies
You got it, yeah.
establishment is coming up with a new product.
Yeah, and we are doing what we just did this whole time of endless questions to you, even though you don't take any of the answers seriously. But that actually will help in this situation.
In this
I want you
situation,
to come up with stupid answers. Call it squid coffee. Yeah. Put a squid in the coffee.
It's a Tuesday.
Put a squid in the squid. Squid. Yeah, squid with the carrot and SpongeBob.
You want to know how to get to 1 million subs? Drink a bottle of this a day, Jordan. You'll be fine. You'll get to 1 million subs in a week.
Have you seen Drunk Jordan before? Or is this the first time?
Drunky Geordie.
No, not you. The,
Yeah.
The
yeah,
Squid
Miss has
Tank
seen it.
gang.
Have you seen me piss before?
Yes, I have.
When?
Are you pissed?
Wait, what?
Oh, that one time we were in uni and I was just like, that guy was being like, North Korea is a real threat. And I was like, take your shirt off. And he was like, I'm trying to have a serious discussion. I'm not taking your shirt off. Take your goddamn
See,
shirt off.
that's why you and I bond. The stupid shit.
Ali
funny.
bonded with
But
that.
that was
Like
good.
afterwards, even though he did take his shirt off, Ali just turned around for some reason and said, man, should we go kick his ass? I don't know why he said that.
Wait, who?
Because you were in a fight with the motherfucker, and I was more drunk than you. on that
Squid
night.
coffee.
Yeah, squid coffee.
Common sense coffee.
Common sense coffee.
Okay, but what about this? Shankerson and Sons caffeine concern.
I think that's amazing. I think that's fucking piss tank coffee. Fuck. I think that's amazing.
What about that piss coffee?
But do we even like this coffee?
Yeah, let's just have a go. Because
let's try it,
that's
let's
our
try
whole
it.
point, right? Is that we just figured out that coffee is pretty much legalized cocaine. So
We're
gonna
not
start
joking
selling.
around here, by the way.
We're genuinely
Friendly
introducing
Jimmy's
a brand of coffee.
is going whole hog, full on Alex Jones on your asses or our asses and getting his own fucking brand of coffee. This is not a meme.
We're trying
Well, it is a
samples.
meme.
It is a meme.
It is a
It is a
meme.
meme.
What I'm saying is you'll be able to drink this meme.
But you need to come up with a name for the coffee.
They're not very good.
Sense Coffee.
Micro. What's this one? What's this one say?
Shakerson and Sons Caffeine Concern.
Mictrition Brew. Waking up with a little awesome coffee. ORSUM. He doesn't deserve that much. That's a little bit too much for promo for that scary looking.
Do you think
man.
he'd sue me for it? He probably would, but he probably doesn't have the knowledge or the discipline to go into court.
Or the money.
Maybe.
That's Mom, can I have $200,000? If you get the milk.
Coffee killer. Hashtag coffee
Searles
killer.
gets the girls coffee.
Searles gets the girls.
Blend. General Miss Love's Operation Coffee. That's very sweet.
Damn, not bad.
But
I don't mind that.
I can put my
Jimmy's
fucking
coffee.
face on it.
General Miss Love's Operation Coffee.
Dude, hashtag coffee killer with a K.
Yeah. Bruz beans.
Bruz beans. These aren't bad. Awesome origin coffee. That's good.
Yeah, a Bruzzo. We could call it a Bruzzo.
Stooge brews.
Stooge Brews.
Ooh, squid
brews.
fish coffee.
I don't mind stooge brews.
Squid piss is, I will say this, is very
Piss
economic.
coffee. Thank you, garlic bread fresh lifestyle. Ali's Commie Coffee, Koala Killer Coffee, Bruz Blend, Bruz Beans.
I like Bruz Brew.
Bruz, but that's giving too much like
Oh wait, no, not Bruz Brew. Sorry, what
stooge
was it?
brews.
Stooge
Simple
brews, stooge
latte.
brews. If we introduce a latte, then
Shank Supper
Morning
Cuppa.
Simps. Huh?
Shank Supper Cuppa.
Nah.
stooge
Nah.
brews. I'm still on stooge.
I think
I think the best so far is the concern one that you said.
I think the stupider it is, the better. Like,
Yeah.
why don't we just call it bum poo poo wakey wakey?
Friendly brewery.
Fuck, Friendly Breweries. That, you know what you could call it? If you called it Friendly Breweries, you would need a photo of you and Ollie's faces going on each side and being like, Friendly Breweries. Like, yeah, coming to Woolies soon. It's not selling out because our faces on it.
No. Some reason it's in the health food section. Hashtag whatever.
I like this.
If we keep it
fucking
simple,
coffee.
Someone just said friendly coffee.
Friendly coffees. Yeah.
Friendly
not bad.
Because we will have to stick with this name once we introduce it.
But like, come on.
AIDS coffee.
Should we do the hipster thing of just putting our dumb faces on the front of it? All of it with this facial expression.
Definitely people
I
are
think
gonna
you should
want
do it
that
as a
in the
joke.
closet.
I think you should do that as a
As a
joke.
limited edition one.
There's a lot of people that like Squid Tank coffee.
What about Dickhead Hipster Brew?
Yeah, I like
You know,
that.
people would actually buy that. If it was in store, I'd buy it. If it was dickhead.
Dickhead Hipster Brew.
Yeah.
I would too, actually.
Just like, it's like, oh yeah, you've got my money.
Dickhead Hipster Brew is kind of cool.
Dude.
I haven't tried it
Wanker's
yet.
Choice.
Wanker's choice.
That's pretty funny, dude. I kind of like Wanker's Choice.
Yeah, Wanker's Choice isn't bad.
Yeah, and this coffee does taste very
Damn,
hipstery.
it's a good coffee, man. It's a
Can
good
I actually
coffee.
taste some that isn't like fraught with
That's not
booze?
espresso though, dude. There's water in that. It's not a straight shot. There's
well, I
water
think
in
I
that.
just messed up my machine.
Right, yeah. That's not espresso, so it's not an ideal.
Hey.
But it's nice. It's a long
It
black.
tastes like I'm on Qantas.
It's a long black. This doesn't taste like that Jetstar stuff.
Yeah.
Well, look, we have more
Yeah,
samples
maybe we'll
that
say
try.
that at the bottom. Qantas quality blend.
Dude, I reckon call it the blah 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 concern, and then this is what it is: blah 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 concern, and then there's you and Ali's face or whoever's face just going like, yeah. And then at the bottom, Qantas quality blend. I mean, if that isn't the funniest,
Sells itself.
if that isn't the funniest bag
The
of
worst
coffee I've ever seen.
had is on Qantas.
Is it?
But that's the joke.
Haven't you ever had coffee on Tiger Air? Have you ever splurged and spent the $3.50 that they charge?
Wait, what's that? What's that fucking? What's like a good blend? Campos. Just be like down the bottom. Just say, just write hashtag. It's better than Campos. Just directly throw your competitors under the fucking bus.
Yeah.
It's better than Campos. I think that's really funny because they would get so angry. They're like, no, it's like they would get so.
Do you think?
I'm done. I think that's it.
Do you think people would even buy coffee from us?
Yes.
Why would they buy it from us when they can go to Coles and get coffee?
The
This is
meme.
merch.
The
This is
meme.
merch. Yeah, meme.
It's a drinkable meme. I'd buy it. I think it's genius. I think it's,
Oi, would you, my little conies, buy coffee?
yeah, use out there. Would you buy?
we're selling now.
I know
This is just an open questionnaire. This pod is just, hey, all right. Would you like a red hat or a blue hat?
We've
And what
only
if I
asked
say
you-
green tooth?
We've only
That one
asked
of
you
those.
7 things tonight. Here's the 8th. Would you buy coffee? Quickly. Don't fuck around.
Yeah,
no more
yeah,
squid
yeah.
comments.
Can you get over squid comments?
Suck it.
Just give us some serious market research just once.
Do people that look? Come on, everyone drinks coffee. The only people that don't, you read it. The only people that don't drink coffee are those new age freaks.
Well, Pretzel says if I had money, I'd buy it.
Oh, what for
It's
coffee?
How much?
Dude, are you a uni student? What the hell? Unless you're buying mee goreng or like ramen, then you don't have an excuse.
I mean, look, it's pretty. Gladys's Finest isn't bad.
It'll get old in like 4 years, dude.
Beans and ground to I am Kirk. NZ. Who the hell is that?
Hieroglyphs?
Hey, can anyone tell us what's happening? Sorry, it's a diversion, but what's happening with this Four Corners report?
No.
I am liking Squid Pit's coffee. Oh, okay. Well, pretty much. They just did Four Corners just released a video that was supposed to be like an expose. Fuck, now I'm too pissed to remember who it is. Like the Attorney General. Who's the fuck's the Christian Porter?
No,
Christian Porter.
it's Moonface. Come on.
Moonface.
Yeah. You know. What's his name?
Kevin Rudd.
No. Other Moonface. Moira.
Bert Newton. It was an expose on Bert Newton. Okay, well, yeah, it was an expose on Bert Newton. That's a fact. He's the Attorney General of Australia. Everyone knows that. Yeah. And also the host of 20 to 1. And
so what was in the report?
Go on, I'm sorry for that.
Nothing!
I just had to joke around.
Because as always, Four Corners, you know what? Man, we just watched, it was so weird. Rat Boy and I, we were just sitting there once and we were watching Four Corners from the 80s. And this is why I never fully understood this when boomers used to say, like, you know how triggered boomers get when you pay out the ABC? They're like, oh, it's the only thing we've got, please. I don't know that the internet exists. Stop making fun of it, even though I'm currently utilising it.
Damn.
They had a point. I used to think that Chomsky's propaganda model was all-encompassing, and I'm sure it was. I'm sure that there was things that they just didn't put to air, but it was just because the Labor Party was in, so they were able to kick their political enemies to the curb when they could. But Four Corners broke the story about Queensland dictator. Fucking, it's really bad at it. Bjorky Peterson.
Even on Dan Andrews, Queensland dictator.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
No, Victorian dictator.
Who's really pulling the strings behind Anastasia Palaszczuk? Think about it.
Dictator Dan.
Boy, does he like donuts that much?
Zooming on.
Yeah, why does he look like Homer with hair? Mixed with the Kosciuszko.
Did you know there was Sky News'
Kosciuszko Mountain?
Sky News' critique was like, so unbelievable. He bought $100 bottle of whiskey. Unbelievable. What? Would you rather him drink Bundy and Cokes? Is that what that'll make you happy?
No, because then they'd say, unfitting for a premier. He's supposed to bring a bit of class to this office.
Yeah, never.
That's the Fox News Dijon model, right? When they made fun of Obama for having Dijon mustard.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dijon
you
model?
remember that?
They made fun of him for having Dijon mustard?
He was saying like, like Sean Hannity.
This
the president opted for Dijon mustard.
Instead of American. All I'm saying is when I have a hot dog on the streets of New York, I'm going for American. That's my final thought.
That's exactly what he said.
Fuck me.
You could replace him tomorrow. That's him.
Dude, I don't hate Sean Hannity.
I hate him.
I don't hate him.
He's the Stephen Crowder of Fox News. Why are you there? You're not that talented.
He's not talented, but he's way better. He's not as annoying as Stephen Crowder. I just think it's funny because he looks like a a fucking like news reporter from like 1947, and that's I really
true.
Like.
That is true. And sounds like a sports commentator from 1947.
Yeah, but Hannity, if you're watching, and I know you are, Dijon tastes better than American mustard. American mustard, surprise, surprise, is full of fucking sugar. It's just peanut butter.
That's why I like it. Sugar.
But you would like that more than the Dijon. Dijon's too classy for you, Ali.
Shout out to Ali, though, because he makes the best burgers that I've ever had in my whole entire fucking life.
Both these cunts know how to cook.
Yeah.
In fact, you should start up some little YouTube channel.
Damn, should we
make millions?
Pop-up.
Dude.
Let's do pop-up.
Let's start a fucking cooking YouTube channel.
Well, I thought you meant pop-up restaurant.
Okay, let's do that either.
No, don't do that.
No pop-up?
Pop-up.
No, just start up a YouTube channel where you're like, I'm going to do something that no one's ever done before. I'm going to make a cake that doesn't have flour in it.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to put beef to oil.
That's a satisfying sound. I wasn't expecting that.
We'll talk.
Cooked.
I think that could be really cool.
About it, but there's so many cooking channels.
Who cares, dude?
But they all get a million views.
It could be the new binging with Babish.
Yes, but we need to be as good as him too.
Oh, come on.
And there's a really, really simple equation to getting heaps and heaps of views on cooking channels. And it's just like 20 surprising tips to making spaghetti bolognese.
I know.
Is it that you use beef mince? Yes. But make sure that it's quality beef mince. You can tell by the number of stars it has.
No, if you want to make quality meatballs, here's a tip. Make sure you don't compress them too much. Keep some air. And also, add a little bit of breadcrumbs. You know this, it's not for binding. It's not for binding. Once the juices release in the meatball, the breadcrumbs soak that shit in. It's not going to flow out.
We've already started the channel.
Steal Gabe's idea. Note to self, steal it. No. We've got this friend that has been talking about this for too long, and he's not doing anything about it, so we've got to do something with it. It's the best name ever. It's just this, that really cunty Italian chef that's always on the front of
How many times has he said the C word in the last 4 minutes? Go on.
Sorry.
When
I'll stop with the potty mouth.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I'm going to try some of these drinks too.
Yeah, go for it, Al.
That one is fucked. Can I just isolate the fucked ones? Fucked. And
no, there's a strong undercurrent of not enough cunts at the moment. It makes
that tastes like
it's so bad.
I'm in a rural area in Pakistan and they can't afford to buy actual booze, so they just make some homemade.
Let me try it again. That's so accurate. Not that I've ever been there.
That's like literally homemade booze.
You liked this one.
Just like soda water. It was fine.
You fucking liked this one. It smells like Play-Doh, and it tastes like. It's not as bad as I remember, but it's not good.
Just for the record,
you know what's really
one out of three of us is very drunk.
Show it.
Which one is your guess?
Yeah, you win
if you can guess it right, if you've just joined in.
This is mad.
It's not that bad.
This just reminds me of being in Singapore. Every time I take a little sip of this, that Pitbull song starts in my head. They're going, bam, bam,
try it again.
Best song of all time?
Really fucking strong.
All right, now that we're pissed.
Ugh, no, it's not good.
Miss.
It's disgusting.
Miss. Let's just focus here. Now that we're pissed, can we agree that we have the same music taste while being hammered?
Cheers.
Okay, so Pitbull, greatest musician of all time.
Agreed. Who are the Vines? Fuck them. They can't relax like that guy, and they can't get a party specifically in Cuba somewhat started like as much as the Vines.
Did you agree?
Yes. I was sold when I saw one Brazilian woman.
Hey, I'm not kidding though. This shit. Wait till we'll work our way through because this stuff is fucked. This is Chinese rice wine, and Jordan pointed it out on his video very cleverly that I think that they just actually uncovered the terracotta army of China, and this was just there. And they're like, "Yeah, we have too many of them. Just sell them." And like, it's fucked.
Ali, get a zoom in on this because this is a public service announcement.
In fact, just try it, Ali. You've tried the.
Don't get this.
Yeah.
Having said that, can we come up with some game?
Is there a genie in that? Is that a genie bottle?
Cover so that they know.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it a genie bottle?
But it's not worth the 3 wishes. It's not worth having anything that you ever want in life just to drink this.
What's the game?
Because like, dude, like one of those wishes would be like, I wish I didn't drink this.
I wish I was dead.
And you'd be out of those 2 wishes.
What's the game?
If you finish it, you become the genie, I think.
Yeah, you get stuck in there.
Yeah, you get stuck, yeah.
And all you get
let's be honest, that's where you belong, Ali.
Well, you should be the genie, right?
Yes, I should.
Because you're like brown.
let's
you didn't have to.
Sorry.
You didn't have to confirm your race.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dickheads. Do you guys have some drinking game for us? Because we have.
No, we can't do drinking games. Apparently, it's against the terms
of Twitch. Wait, are we on Twitch still? Who are?
So what is it illegal for us to get hammered?
I really apologize for this podcast, but we all have. It's not our fault. Jordan had to drink for work.
What do you mean? Yeah, like, dude, this is an occupational health situation, isn't it?
I don't know. Well,
please don't leave Patreon.
Dude, well, this will get more hectic on Patreon.
We're
Join.
losing numbers, goddammit.
No, they're coming back up. They're coming back up.
Some guy just subscribed to Twitch after listening to this.
Hell yeah, he knows what's up. Well, should we?
I don't think we are losing numbers.
No,
It's
they're just
salami.
up and down, up and down. Don't stress. Don't be one of those people that are obsessed with the numbers. You gotta go with the flow, Jack.
Drink every time a liberal lies. Can you do that?
Well, how many dead people voted in the election?
Pop it open.
Do you think any dead people voted?
Yes, I think 2 dead people voted.
No, but seriously, do you think there was people's names forfeited? Any? What's your opinion?
I mean, look, it happens that people die and their name's still on the list, but they have to show up to vote for.
No,
mail-ins.
No. What happens is mail-ins, but also just people that know that their spouse would have voted in a certain way, so they just fill the ballot for them.
That's what they're talking about.
But you know what? Like, fuck it.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, they would know. They were married with them for 60 years. I think they guessed their voting habits at that point.
And wouldn't
Barnes,
it even out? Like, I'm sure people die in New York, but people also die in fucking Tennessee.
Guys.
Even out.
Yeah.
Butwood Barnes, 200K dead votes.
What?
Where
Who's Butwood Barnes?
Soup Bounds. Any proof on that, buddy?
Can we Twitch? Can we have this little disclaimer at the bottom saying this is just a matter of opinion and no one has been confirmed to be
I'm not
voting
saying
while
it's true.
dead.
I'm just saying that's what he said. I'm not saying it's true.
Oh, no, they were saying that 200,000 people, by the time that they registered, had voted. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, they got like mail votes to them, but they were dead. So we don't know that 200,000 of them voted.
Well, it
Yeah,
would
look, I
have
don't
been even
believe
more
this,
thanks
dude.
to Trump and his COVID.
Dude, I don't exactly. I don't believe
I
this
gotta-
shit. I'm just saying. I'm just happy to listen to any opinion.
Guys, I've also got to ask another question because I've just we were going to release like a boss video for Friday, but because time necessitates, we're just going to be throwing in some fodder shit. Because it's like it takes like very long to edit this one. But finally, my response to Sydney Morning Herald will be dropping.
Ooh, and it is lit.
You like?
I like a lot. It's gonna be crazy. It's like it is a thesis. That's what it is.
Because I don't know what it is. It's just like, I don't know if I've mentioned this before on this podcast, but dude, you know what really freaks me out?
What's wrong with theses? Thesis.
I don't know,
something
dude. It
else.
doesn't piss you off at all. It actually angers me about you.
What?
I don't like the fact that mind control exists.
As opposed to me who loves it? What do you mean?
You do. You don't give a fuck. You are a democracy absolutist.
Yes.
You don't care what the circumstances are. As long as the people voted for it, you think, yeah, well, that's fine.
Aren't you like that? No, you're
No, I'm the exact opposite.
You're a
I'm just like,
eco-fascist.
no one knows what they're talking about. Just elect Trump, but make sure that he just like channels his views on China into
Boss.
trees.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not his views on China. His views on America into trees.
Yeah. Well, is that true?
Does
Would
that
you
make
say
sense? Look, all I'm saying is,
would you do anything for democracy?
yeah.
Are you a democracy whore?
I genuinely feel that. I think people get freaked out when I say it. One time I told someone, they were like, "Oh, you don't even believe in democracy." I was like, "No, I believe in serious democracy. I believe in the level of democracy that if your country decides to be Nazi, and if the majority of people want to be Nazi, then you should be Nazi."
So be it.
Well, look, you're thorough.
But that doesn't mean you support Nazism. The point is,
No.
all you can do at that point is, the art of rhetoric.
Dude, you and
try
Gavin,
to convince people.
You and Gavin McInnes would get along like a house on fire. He's like, I don't like pedophiles, but I'll die for their right to be able to talk.
Yeah, of course. What do you mean? Everyone should be able to talk.
That's not the consensus. Not today. Or not in
Except
America.
for the child.
No, it is. Everyone says it in theory, but then when it's like
when it
practice,
happens,
yeah,
exactly,
no one takes it.
No, the other thing is, like, you know how certain societies have trigger points? Like, there are these trigger buttons. Like, I'm not saying I'm for pedophilia by any means, but I'm just saying pedophilia is one of those triggers for Western societies where, like, there's nothing else can be said. It's the same thing for us, but with blasphemy. If you go to, like, fucking Pakistan and you say anything about blasphemy, doesn't matter what's coming afterwards.
What if you did a funny little
What?
cartoon?
So like in Pakistan, it's just like pedophilia, and your point is
Yes, because over there, that's not a trigger point.
That fucking
That
hilarious.
doesn't mean that everyone
Holy
supports pedophilia, but if you go like,
Well.
okay, pedophile, let's talk about this. The other
well,
person's
yeah. I
not gonna
suppose
be
it's
like,
kind of
well,
right. Like I'm just like, dude, I don't in theory practice blasphemy. I don't think you should be stoned to death for it. I think just a sufficient hanging would suffice. Just go for that.
And pedophilia.
That's why I couldn't go. I would draw on a pamphlet in a coffee shop in Pakistan like a stupid thing of Muhammad and then be like, burn him. That's what would happen to me.
Not if you're in a coffee shop.
And if you're drawing, I don't think they'll be able to figure out if it's Muhammad.
Hey, fuck off. You bastard.
Oh my God, he has a beard. I assume this is the god.
Yeah, that would happen.
That looks like Yogi from India, so fuck him too. I like
Yeah. You probably just wind up in Parliament there.
I move forward on the KFC tax. PFC.
You would be impeached if you bring a KFC tax.
And fair enough.
No,
That chicken
removing the
delicious.
tax. Removing the tax.
Yes.
Yeah, finally, a real patriot of Pakistan.
We are moving taxes from KFC and chicken tikka. That is my platform. Still more issues than Biden, if I may say so.
Oh, no.
Wait, I can't remember what we were saying. Yeah, no. But the thing is, you don't give a fuck about manufacturing consent.
No, I definitely do give a fuck about it.
Yeah, but like, what I'm saying is not as much as me.
Yeah,
Like, and it actually perpetually annoys me.
I don't believe in its. I believe in its power, but I don't
I haven't
believe
tried this one yet.
in its power as much as you do.
How do you not? Like, you look at America right now, and there's just like all these annoying cunts. Like, there's like stupid idiots on the Trump side, just being like, "Election's stolen," and then everybody else just waving around the rainbow flag, going, "Yeah, dancing in the street," and like you're saying that that's not the result of manufacturing consent.
My opinion is I look at the same America differently. In 2016, the entire mainstream media was against this one crazy individual who was saying unconventional shit and was being told by and we were being told by the media that this guy is not going to be able to do anything. Ends up winning the election.
Yeah.
Second time around, mainstream media overwhelmingly puts a complete blackout on any negative information coming out from the Biden campaign. Like, I'm not saying that it has any credibility, but like every mainstream media outlet aside from Fox completely put a what is it called, like a dark shadow over anything to do with Hunter Biden or his stories. I'm not saying those stories were correct. I'm just saying people deserve to know. As journalists, you should be fucking reporting on it. They were afraid that their friends are gonna hate them. But you're like, well, your job is to report on shit. Your job is not to be concerned about the results. Your job is to be reporting on things that you believe are credible.
Are you on censored TV?
Even with that, Trump came so close to winning the election. So I'm thinking manufacturing consent certainly happens, but on like really large scale, big elections, it doesn't have as much power as we might think it does.
Dude,
Smaller elections,
as we were just saying before, the conservative media in the US is on par in terms of eyes and ears with mainstream media.
In the US,
Wait, what did you say?
name me more than two conservative mainstream news channels.
It's not about mainstream news channels. It's about
There's Fox
conservative news, and it's about the newspapers. Yeah, there's Fox News that exists. That's fine.
That's
and
one
Fox
that's
News,
supported.
just by itself, apparently increases the Republican vote for president by 4 to 6% every election.
But the bizarre
But-
thing is Fox News was completely against Trump in the 2016 elections. Trump had
No,
no
it
media.
wasn't. It was
They
in
were
the
Sean
primaries.
Hannity.
Dude, in the primaries for a bit, it was against Trump. And then Rupert Murdoch picked up, oh shit, that's a winner. And then he started backing him to the hilt.
Yes, he did. But like he also had to purge so many of those, like Bill O'Reilly. Part of them was also
O'Reilly was
against-
never really against Trump. O'Reilly saw that there was... This is the other thing as well. The rest of those conservative commentators, they saw winners. They could sense a winner when they saw it. It was the same with Rush Limbaugh. All of them were just like supporting Jeb Bush from the beginning, and then they just saw, nah, he's moving the crowd. He's moving it. That's a guy that you should get behind. Ann Coulter was obviously the first one to pick it. This is what's really actually...
was.
I do pay this about conservative commentators. They do understand the electorate a lot better than
That's fair. That's
MSNBC
fair.
or like the Young Turks or anything like that. They really understand movement.
And Coulter was
suppose-
And the thing is,
laughed
like,
off
dude,
Bill-
with
Bill
Trump,
whatever.
as you were just pointing out them, he didn't he can actually be contesting this election. He has every right to. He
Yeah.
legally has every right to
Sure.
contest it. It's that close. So, and that is just a result of the fact that there is a huge Koch brother funded, massive Cocopus media outlet in the US. Trump would not have won 2016 if it was the same media makeup as it was in Reagan, when you were just saying like it was just across the board. That was because there was like 3 executives to impress back then, but now there's probably like 100.
Well, Trump didn't win because of mainstream media. Trump won because of alternate media. He won because of this new internet revolution.
But the thing is, the alternate media is pretty much the same in terms of numbers. It's pretty like Rush Limbaugh, 20 million, Mark Levin, 10 million, Sean Hannity, 19 million, Alex Jones, 6 million, Fox News. I don't even know what their aggregate numbers are, but like, you know, they smash MSNBC and CNN.
But they're mainstream as well. I'm talking.
They're mainstream, but like, and the thing is, like, when it comes to outlets like CBS and ABC and stuff, like they might be mildly anti-Trump. That's true, but they're not like giving him a blackout.
No,
like they are. Well, you can give Bernie Sanders a blackout. He was attracting similar audiences, but they give him a blackout. You know, recently, as a result of this video that I'm just doing now, I don't know if you remember this, Miss. I was looking at the coverage. Not me, I got Rat Boy to look it up, but he looked it up. And he was looking at the main editor-in-chief of the Sydney Morning Herald. Since Jodie McKay was elected as leader of New South Wales, this is the Sydney Morning Herald, so this is the authoritative paper that is supposed to be covering New South Wales politics. 460 articles since Jodie McKay was elected as opposition leader. You know how many are about her? Three.
Leader of the opposition.
Leader of the fucking opposition.
That is
Dude,
insane.
Fred Nile got almost as many fucking articles as the leader of the opposition.
Who's that?
You're telling, huh?
Who's that?
Exactly,
Is
dude.
the butler from The Nanny?
But look
Like,
at
there was no way, unless I was just like constantly raving about how sick Jodie McKay is, there's no way you'd know who Jodie McKay is.
No way.
Ali
I still don't know who she is.
might know
I
who
barely
Jodie
still
McKay
like.
is.
I met her in real life, and I was still like, "Are you a mirage?" I can't tell. So yeah,
But it's just insane. Like the real power of the mainstream media is not so much like the fact that they're giving you negative attention. It's the fact that they can just black you out, like you don't exist.
Magnifying glass, right?
Guys. Now that I'm on this tangent, this is like the main point of the video. Now, everybody, in fact, let's just go to another poll, shall we? In fact,
we haven't done any polls.
Pewds, can you get this poll going? Because like I have this huge argument with. Someone else start a poll.
Yeah,
Someone else start a poll because I do need to know this because I just need to know how this is going to go in the algorithm. But obviously the article was called How to Solve a Problem Like Friendlyjordies. Now Rat Boy wants me to make it How to Solve a Problem Like Friendlyjordies. They just want a direct response to that article. And I understand the merit of that. In terms of clicks, yeah, but the main point of the video, the main point that I really want to hammer into my audience, in fact, it's the whole point of Friendlyjordies cancels media. There's no point of you seeing my stand-up show, but give me the money anyway. But like... The main point of my stand-up shows, you guys have seen.
It's mad.
Magnifying glass. Yeah. Magnifying glass. That's the point. And that's what I want to call this video. It's going to be huge. It's going to be like an hour long. And I want to call it, in all lowercasing, because that seems to work with the kids, magnifying glass. That's how the mainstream media works. It just highlights what it wants to highlight. And then it just completely blacks out what it doesn't want highlighted, and so nobody knows about it, so they can't even form a fucking opinion on it. But the thing is with Donald Trump, even if you're sitting there and being like, he's naughty, can you believe he said that? That's so rude. You're still forming an opinion on it. He's still getting attention. This is the genius of Donald Trump. He understood that negative attention or positive attention doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is no attention. No attention is where is the bad place to go. True. And on top of that, he had an alternative media backing him up. And defending it, normalizing what he was saying. And I'm not saying that what Donald Trump was saying was that irregular. Like, dude, pretty much what he was saying was in 2016. It actually changed a lot in 2020 because he changed his opinions more to being what a president would be saying, which is actually something that nobody was giving him credit for in the mainstream media. But he's right. As soon as he did, Scott Adams made this point, as soon as he became president, not as soon as, but give him a year in the swamp, And he did sound very presidential. I was astonished at how intelligent Trump started to sound after like 2-3 years of being president. He was a very educated man by the end of that. It was your point of the fact that if you're president, you're pretty much just getting 50 PhDs a year because you've got the most intelligent people on earth drip feeding you information constantly. And it was obvious with Donald Trump. But the thing is, like, dude, a lot of that, he lost his magic.
What do you mean?
Don't you think he lost his magic? Like, the thing about Donald Trump that was really drawing in 2016 was like, where the fuck did this guy come from? It's like this cross of Rush Limbaugh with like a Hollywood celebrity with talking about Bernie Sanders points, and it's just like, boom, there you go. Here's a completely new product that you've never seen on a presidential scale. That was magical. But then when he came at the end of it, he kind of just sounded like Mitt Romney. He had a still, like, as you were saying, right? I remember this in 2016. You were saying that he's just going to be a Republican president with that Trump flavor. And I think that we both came to the conclusion that still better than a normal Republican.
I still agree with that. Yeah.
I still agree with it.
But dude, I disagree that he lost his fire. I just think he stooged himself with COVID, period.
What do you mean?
I don't think he lost his fire or his pizzazz or his personality. It was just COVID.
I want to make one point.
A lot of people died.
I want to like really stress on this one point. We always look at like Trump winning 2016 and losing 2020, and so something must have gone wrong. I again want to stress how close both of those elections were. It could have gone either way in both of them. So this remarkable lose a flare or not losing a flare means a few, well, in this case, a few million votes,
But you know what? Now that I'm more hammered, I will pay this about you, Ali. I think you're right. Even if you ran Hillary Clinton in 2020, she probably would have won.
You do it again, and she couldn't win. That's what I'm saying.
Actually, come
you
on.
You do.
She was really hateable, but I think it was just this thing of like,
it was just,
you know what?
It was like all the cogs aligned in this bizarre thing.
All the cogs aligned, but you know what? Actually, I think that like I've seen this being distilled a lot on CNN and even 7 News. They've just been saying this, and I think they are. It pains me to give credit to the mainstream media, but I think that they're kind of right. I think that those quirky states just rolled the dice on Trump. Because they just were so sick of being ignored and they were just talked down on.
Dude, Gavin said it perfectly when he was just sort of just like, I gave you, what was the Canadian guy's name?
Trudeau.
No. The Canadian guy that was running who's like, fuck.
Johnson.
Rob Ford?
No, he's not actually Canadian. He was born in Canada and they were like, he can't.
Bieber.
Huh?
What are you talking about? He was born. Like, is he an American politician?
Yes, he was running. He's a big fat guy. Anyway, whatever.
Chris Christie?
Oh, Chris Christie.
No, another guy. But anyway, like he was thingy was just like Gavin was just like, we gave you him. You said no, and then you said no. He's ugly. Okay, fine. And then we gave you, and I was like the Mexican conservative
Rubio.
Yeah, we gave you Rubio. You said no. He's not fun enough. Okay. Well, then you gave us no choice. So we gave you Archie Bunker. We gave you a orange-skinned wahoo that was just going to smash up the joint because you didn't like anyone else. And it's like, it was just a protest vote. It was like a fuck you vote.
And dude, you know what? Even though it was very scary when Trump won, it did move the election. Like I cannot remember. Yeah, do you remember that day?
Were you there too? And it was like
we were there.
I remember Mislav calling me from Brisbane.
I was there. Yeah.
It was. He called me up and he's like, "Okay, Ali, you've got a few questions. First of all, this is really freaking me out. Secondly, it's getting really dark in Brisbane. It's cloudy, and it feels like the world is coming to an end." And then I had to tell him, dude, even if he becomes president, your life is not going to change that much.
Yeah.
And he's like, actually, that does make me feel better.
Yeah. I think I called Ali and Palank was like, are we going to have nuclear war like tomorrow or the day after? Because I'm doing a load of washing today. So, it's just kind of one of those things.
You know what? I remember this one comedian talking about it in the United States. And he was saying that the day that Donald Trump won, the day after Donald Trump won, everyone just walked out of their house and everybody just started clapping and hollering because they knew exactly the feeling.
In America.
It's just very few moments in life where there's just this collective feeling amongst everyone. I think in Australia, Sydney Olympics, there was definitely that.
Totally.
Obviously 9/11. Trump getting elected.
New Jersey,
Trump getting elected was up there with the fucking Olympics and 9/11. Like, he was saying that everybody just opened their door, looked out, and then put their tiptoe out, like not knowing what was happening.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It was kind of like that. It was kind
Isn't
of
it?
exciting, but scary.
It was kind of like what Louis C.K. was saying. The last moment of that was just when Richard Nixon said, "I am not a crook," cried, went into a helicopter and fucked off. And everyone was like, what happens now?
It's kind of like before you take acid. It's like, this could go badly.
It was quite, but I remember being really calm afterwards because I think, that opinion that I have, which is like, I mean, it's not really much of a difference. It's a different face. The establishment and the cogs are still the same. That helps in those situations because when Trump gets elected, you're like, as if things are really going to change. And they didn't. Trump was probably one of the most inconsequential men. He just passed these stupid executive orders that will get reversed as soon as Joe Biden comes in.
No.
Particularly his second 2 years. He couldn't do anything.
No, but...
Wall? Where's the wall?
The wall pretty much exists,
happened,
dude.
The wall was,
Do you know what wall he was talking about? Do you know how big the border is?
Yeah.
Do you know how much of it is covered by his wall?
I know that. It was a publicity stunt, but the fact
It wasn't a publicity stunt. He never got money for it. The Congress never approved it.
No. That's
If
not
the Congress
true,
had
though.
approved it, he would have made a wall that was slightly bigger and also would cover more than like 0.8% of the border.
Is that all that is? Is that all?
I mean,
it's
no,
covered?
I don't know the exact figures, but it's definitely not the border.
From my understanding, I know it was like blocked, but from my understanding,
Obamacare still there. Why do you think he couldn't do it?
that's absolutely true. Obamacare didn't do shit, and he didn't.
He
didn't have a plan either. He was just like, "I've got a better plan." It's like, what is this?
Muslim
But this is the thing that the Trump
couldn't do it.
This is the thing
He
that the
did do the
president
Muslim
has,
ban.
which is just like this weird quirk of
Wait,
the
he
fact
did
that the 1700s, they did not imagine that the president would be having this power because they always thought that they'd just be this rebel state. So they just thought, we've got to give one guy power so he can essentially be the general and defend against like the King of England getting in their face, right? but as a result of that, that guy had huge power internationally. Not in terms of domestic politics. Obviously, the Senate and because like the founding forefathers were just there pretty much to just defend. In fact, I think James Madison was the guy that came up with it. This is a quote that Chomsky's always saying. He spilled the beans when he said that the point of government is to protect the opulent few from the masses. And that the whole system is set up for that domestically, which I don't give a fuck about because I'm not American. And also Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pisses me off because it's like, dude, get braces. Come on. But like...
Harsh facts here on the Friendly Jimmy's podcast.
Jacinda, on the other hand, looks just fine.
No, I'm still on top. You're going to have to file your teeth. I'm sorry. I'm sick of like you deciding if you're Bugs Bunny or not every time I look at you. But dude, it's the same thing with Biden. Like, how much better is Biden? The fact that he has, hey Jack, how's it going? I like how he's got such white teeth that it's changing the way he speaks.
Dude, that's
hey,
like,
relax, Jack.
Yeah, but that's like basically like part of the ticket to even run for president apart from Bernie. That's why Bernie didn't win because his teeth weren't done.
Little ratty teeth.
Yeah, you got to have those white fucking Trump's got them. You got to do the white fucking like what do they call them?
Chompers.
No, there's a word for them. Doesn't
Pearlies?
matter. Nah, but it's a procedure, and then it just like basically stick fake teeth over the top of them.
Pearlers, right?
No.
But-
Fuck, I can't remember, but it doesn't matter.
I want to make I want to come
That's why
back to
Bernie
one of the
did.
things that Jordan, you were saying. I do agree with you. The manufacturing
Veneers. Thank you.
Veneers. Yeah.
manufacturing consent in Australia works more than it works in the US.
Yeah, because we don't have the media ecosystem to cancel it out.
Yes,
so
because
we pretty much
ours
just
is-
have Fox News.
We have a monopoly of media. The second reason I think is that our voting system. So we have compulsory voting, which means that everyone has to vote. So you don't need to attract people to come into the polling booth. They're going to come in. What you need to do is when you're there, just vote for me. Whereas in the US, they need to make their elections very interesting. In fact, it took a Trump presidency
fucked.
to get the highest voter turnout, which you know is 60%.
Jeez, that's
60%
crazy.
is their highest voter turnout ever.
It's because
It was normally between 40 to 50%. At most, it will go 55%. 60% is their biggest voter turnout ever. It took Trump
What does that
4
show?
years.
What does that show?
Well, it just shows that the average person's just extremely uninformed and doesn't give a fuck.
No, it's also that the voting system does not allow. So if you don't have compulsory voting system, most people are not going to give a fuck. And even in Australia, you remove the compulsory voting system, you'll see how many people will end up staying at home. And because we have
That's
this compulsory system, we don't need to attract, we don't need to like constantly, hey, look at me, hey, look at me. In
Yeah.
fact, what we really want is like, actually, don't look at me. Avoid me as much as possible.
Look at the issues.
In the US, which is why someone like Trump wins, is like, he is only screaming, look at me. I'm something completely different.
Yeah.
If it was just Mitt Romney versus, I don't know, Jimmy Carter, no one gives a shit over there. And that's when like manufacturing consent sort of works worse for us. Because first of all, we have a media that's completely monopolized by one individual, okay, maybe two groups. And if whatever media, whatever, we're not screaming for attention anyways. So we're like, when Sydney Morning Herald makes like whatever, 300 and something articles about, and none of them about Jody McKay, that matters. Because most people don't give a fuck about politics over here. So if they don't read about Jody McKay, they're not even going to know who Jody McKay is. And when you don't know who Jody McKay is, you're very less likely to vote for Jody McKay because you know who Gladys is, because Gladys is on TV. But in the US, it's obviously... So I think manufacturing consent works more in Australia than it does in the US.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Look, I don't disagree with that. But like... Trump really just gamed the system. That's all that really happened there. Yeah. And it was a perfect storm. People were pissed off with the fact that government was not responding to their needs. That was the first thing that he obviously tapped into. But the second thing is that he's a celebrity, and also he is a celebrity that really understood marketing. And I remember reading his book, and the only point that I got away from it was, say controversial shit. And he's right. Dude, it's the same thing with me. Every time I say something controversial now, all that happens is my numbers go up.
it's I don't know if it's a good thing, but it works.
Which brings me to this, by the way. I'm glad that Tibet is occupied by China.
Wait, I need to change, that was on you.
The camera was on you and you said that.
Can I rephrase that? I agree with you, but can we just...
You agree?
I agree with you. I'd like to just rephrase it. People appreciate sort of opinion makers that go against the tide. Is one way of saying like...
But hang on, let's just go into this. Why do you agree with that?
Because I think it's really important. Most people, you shouldn't be parroting whatever the
No, but have you heard about Tibet before China?
Yes. What do you mean? Of course I have.
You have?
Tibet?
Why didn't you tell us about this?
What do you
Should have
mean?
been one of Ali's tales.
Dude, Tibet is like the biggest... Tibet is where Dalai Lama is from. That's how you know Dalai Lama, because of the Tibet.
Yeah, I know that, but like, do you know what it was like before Chinese occupation?
Chinese occupation... Oh, well, I don't know about... No, I don't know much about that.
Have you been reading it, Mislav?
Yeah, I have
hold
been.
on, I'm going to change the
been.
camera angle from you.
Listen,
now continue.
I have been reading it since you told it to me. I'm like a third of the way through of the audiobook because he told me about it. And I was just like, because he was just like, what about Tibet? Like, telling me all this shit. And I was like, dude, pretty sure Tibet is like a Buddhist paradise where everyone just like eats sashimi and like floats on clouds like Goku in Dragon Ball Z.
But there has never been a more apt time to quote The Simpsons, but it should have just had the Dalai Lama at that point being like, yes, that's what we wanted you to think.
Yeah, so
tell me more about it, but I'm genuinely going to keep the camera angle off of you because I think that's one way to like avoid getting...
Do that.
He's already stitched himself.
So, but tell me, and the audience knows why the camera isn't on you, but tell us what was
very distressing for me.
pre-Chinese, so what year are we talking about? Like
56 or whatever they invaded.
Whenever they took over. Okay, what was happening before that?
It's so disturbing to read. I highly recommend everybody look up on YouTube Michael Parenti.
Is he a reputable source?
Yeah, Michael Parenti is
like
sick.
an
He's just
Italian-American guy
he is.
who grew up in Queens.
He is.
So like, I'm pretty sure his knowledge is like, yo, this pastrami sandwich is as good as the salami. They're just different.
I like that.
I don't think
I
that's
like
an
the fact that
expert.
he's Noam Chomsky but should have been on Jersey Shore.
What are his
That's
credentials?
sick. Oh, no, he's got better credentials than Chomsky.
Oh, okay.
He actually is.
Well, I just sort of racially stereotyped him. I looked at him and said, why aren't you on diners, drive-ins, and drive-ins and dives?
And that is a question that haunts me every day of my life. I don't know.
He's Italian-American.
Yo!
But like... you know, if you say he's got credentials...
What's his thing? What was pre-Chinese Tibet like?
It was so scary. It was honestly the bleakest society I've ever heard of.
Imperialism, right?
Not even. It was feudalism. It was... Think of medieval Europe and then times it 1,000 in your head. It sounded cool in terms of like a nice not dystopic, but scary setup for a fiction book because there was just this priest class. I suppose, in fact, even, you know what? Medieval Europe isn't a nice comparison to it. Medieval Europe was nicer to its serfs.
Shout out the book because a lot of people are calling bullshit. Call it.
What do you mean calling bullshit? What are they saying?
Well, they're just saying like, who's feeding him this CCP shill, whatever that means. Oh, China? Is that China?
Whatever that
reference the
That's
book.
a pro-Jordan comment.
Reference the book.
Look, just look up friendly feudalism. Friendlyjordies.
Yeah.
Friendly feudalism on YouTube. He gives you a really accurate depiction, and like it's just look. He's got all the sources at the bottom. You can look it up in your own time.
I've listened to a third of it, and like I can back these claims. It is intense.
Well,
But guys,
listening,
just hear me
'cause
out
I'm
because
not-
this is the whole reason that we're here, right? To open our minds, man.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is that
And to drink
obviously, and
I know it's not on you, but there's a reason why the camera's not on you.
fair. But I think the reason
dance
that
the whole
Tibet has been held up as this like great, as what you were saying before. You just imagined that everybody just sat there and it was
Eating
kind of like the
sashimi.
book Eat, Pray, Love.
I don't know that book, but I assumed, a lot of sashimi eating and a lot of nice
Unfortunately,
rivers.
I do know that book.
Nice
And
rivers.
look, dude, the thing is, Tibet is beautiful, and I really want to go there and do vlogs around all of those
I'd
little
love to.
bullshit countries
Yeah.
that, let's be honest, shouldn't exist. Just go to India or China. Come
And
on.
you can't even say bullshit. You can't even say shithole countries anymore.
No,
You
no,
gotta
we still
go-
can.
You
We
gotta
still
go
can.
back to saying developing.
Trump hasn't accepted defeat yet. You still
You
can
want
for
him
now.
to still get in, don't you?
It's just those celebrations in fucking
San
New York.
And
I
how
can't handle it.
funny are the protests in the South? How
they're
much
mad.
more do
They're
you want
such
to be in
better.
that?
Oh,
on
the
that side?
protests
Just be
in the
like,
South. Yeah.
The
Just a
election
shot of,
is
like-
stolen.
Just a shot of Alex Jones looking
I haven't
really
seen that.
passionate in Georgia going,
Yeah. You sent me an email. Jordan sent me a photograph or possibly a video link, but I didn't. If it was a video link, I didn't open it. But it was like just a photo of Alex Jones going, and then he just sent me an email and just wrote on the thing, "This is what Alex Jones are doing. What are you doing to like help the fight?" Or something.
well, the question stands.
No,
Nothing.
This is what Alex Jones did today. What did you do today?
Yeah, that's what it was. You got to Damn, you spammed that shit. Fuck. Holy fuck.
There was
Send it on. Such an uncle email.
No.
But that's what I've reduced myself to as a result of deep work. But look, Tibet, before Chinese occupation, was a feudalist society where there was a monk class. The monks, the reports that came after, not just to the Chinese, but also to British missionaries, to European missionaries, all of them were saying monks are just taken from the feudal class, from the serf class. They're just taken out of there. They just get pretty much just the most attractive boys, sexually abuse them to the shit. There was obviously the lords, which are pretty much just most of the time priests, but also there was just wealthy landowners. They would just take the women, the prettiest women in Tibet, and they make them sex slaves. I remember reading one instance of a serf, this British missionary. This is all pre-China being there, so this is just all European accounts of them going there. And the quotes that I heard from British missionaries, been to the Congo, been to Central Africa. These people were saying, this is the worst society I've ever seen.
Damn.
This one is the most oppressive society on earth. They have, to this day, a museum of all the torture implements that they had in Tibet. And I can't even go into them because they were just so chilling. Like, I really think that if you'd just be banned on them on Twitch. But they had, think about this. When you look at feudal societies in Europe and you look at their torture implements, they're at least aimed at adults.
Jesus Christ.
Here we go.
Torture implements aimed
He's
at
not-
kids.
Western society's kitty love again.
Fuck.
At least they were adults, because God forbid. Fair. Like,
So, and
it
anyways.
seems like it seems like a pretty repressive.
No, I mean,
society.
like,
Wait. You.
I started reading it and I can corroborate. I can
Look, there was
corroborate
one
this.
example. There was one example of a British missionary coming up to a guy that didn't have eyes and had mangled hands. And they said, "What was your crime?" And he said, I just made the mildest objection to my landlord taking my wife and using her as a sex slave. I said, can you not take my wife as a sex slave? And they're just like, remove his eyes, fuck up his hands for life.
But is that because he wasn't a cuck?
Yes, he wasn't a cuck.
No,
That's
if
what
he was a
happened.
cuck, he'd be sitting there being like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, take my wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, he wasn't a cuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he wasn't a cuck.
And
then
that's
there was-
punishable.
Yeah.
So fair is what I'm
Non-cuckery.
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Most of 4chan would be like, what's wrong with that?
at this point, I have to do the obligatory China eat dogs. They're really bad to animals. They have a shit human rights record. But apart from that, it's all true.
Well,
Like, dude, Tibet
I just have to do the,
was
like,
not the
mandatory
Nirvana
China, you know,
that
exactly.
you are
I
imagining in
don't
your
like
mind.
those things.
Like, he
I
makes
don't
the
like
point.
those things.
Michael Parenti makes the point in the book that he's writing where he says that, look,
50 million dead people are saying. Is that?
no, that's not true. Like, listen to this. The 50 million dead people, there was not that many people in Tibet. This is the same thing as what happened in Rwanda, where they just said in Rwanda that, I can't remember the numbers, 1 million Tutsi were killed.
3 million.
There was only 450,000 Tutsi in Rwanda at the
So
time.
the 50 million is fake news.
How the fuck could there be 50 million? There's like, dude,
Yeah.
even the Dalai Lama is saying 1.2 million. You look at the census before the Chinese occupied, there was 1.2 million people in Tibet. It wasn't a total genocide. Like, there is still a huge native population that I think is like 90% of the population to this day in Tibet. Like,
So how many deaths were on China?
I think it would be
see,
hard
this is
to-
the whole thing. Like, it's really hard to quantify this shit. Am I saying that human rights abuses didn't happen? No, I'm not saying that. But
say it again.
am I saying that human rights abuses didn't happen in
We are
Tibet?
lawyers.
No. Like, it's the same thing as like what
I
happened
changed
in Shenzhen. Is there human rights abuses that happen? Yeah, obviously. But this is the thing that people need to understand. Human rights abuses happen everywhere. Human rights abuses happen in Australia. Human rights abuses happen in the US. Why are you constantly being fed these human rights
Oh, look,
abuses?
just to,
Because they're adversaries.
just to clarify, the guy said the 50 million was referring to the purges in Maoist China.
Oh, that's different. That's not what
and the
Jordan's
thing is, like,
talking about.
Yeah,
we're not
my
talking
bad.
about the 50 million purges in China, but the thing is, like, even if you're looking at the purges in China, it's the same thing with
And
Pol-
I know a lot about that, so I can
Exactly.
definitely.
But
It
dude,
was
it's the same thing. It was the same thing with Pol Pot, right? Like, it's like you can say 2 million people died, yeah, but it was not a result of the purges. It's the same thing with Mao. It's the same thing with Stalin.
'Cause,
Like, you can say, yeah, this was all because of gulags. That's just Western propaganda. Like, dude, famines happen.
Well, if you think
famines
about it, we
happen.
always look at the Irish potato famine as, oh, the Irish potato famine, how unfortunate. And we look at Russian and Chinese
I don't look at it that way. I look
as
at
like
it as
commie famines that were
No,
forced upon people.
that's not accurate,
Part of it is
dude.
true, but part of it is like famines happen in a lot of places.
Dude,
And usually poor places.
Everyone
And
knows.
dude, this is the other thing as well. With the Irish famine, with the Irish potato famine, that was completely designed by the
I was
British.
just going to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was-
Completely designed.
Everyone knows that.
But no one-
that's not-
Dude,
people-
what the
everyone
fuck
knows
is
that.
this? So they're just like, oh, by that logic, then like every country just like fucking has like an internal genocide on their own people. No, dude, this also happens. People get into power at like inopportune times as a result of total war happening. That happened in Vietnam as well. There was starvation that happened in Vietnam, but it was not the result of the Viet Cong imposing starvation. Why doesn't anybody ever point out that there was 30 years of total war imposed by foreign powers on Vietnam? Doesn't have some implication onto the...
But wait a sec. So like
No, you
the
100%.
Irish famine implemented by the English is bad, but like Stalinist famine implemented by Stalin is good.
It's not that it was good. I'm not saying that famine is good, but it wasn't implemented by Stalin.
Well, so
Like
how
World
wasn't
War
it?
II had a bit of a impact. Like, you know, the
Right.
Germans invading into the food bowl of Russia might have had an impact on starvation. You know? Like, yes, gulags are not a bad thing. Gulags were not responsible for 20 million Russians dying. Like,
Wait, no,
all I'm
you said
saying
that wrong.
is
You said that wrong. Gulags are a bad thing, is what you meant to say.
that's what I said.
No, you said are not.
Sorry. Look, it's
You're
probably not
fucking
the
yourself
best
here.
point to be like
no,
extremely hammered and
Just-
talk about these
that's-
points. But like,
Go on.
dude, You agree with it, right?
I agree with you.
But your point isn't true.
Like,
People know the Irish famines were
the
because
thing
of
with
the
all of
English.
these things.
I know, but what the point that I was trying to make is that we look at famines that happened under like our watch
foreign
as
rule.
like natural calamities that happen, and then whatever famine happens in an adversary's area, we always look at as that
Right.
something that the adversary.
I don't know if that's
100% orchestrated.
Orchestrated. Not only that it happened as a result of their policies, unintended
Right.
consequences, they attribute it as like, no, it was a direct thing that they wanted to do, kill people, as if that's somehow good for political stuff.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I
It's
also
like, it's
understand
not
the communist
exclusive.
idea of like certain economic policies did not help with the famine, but that's one thing. That's one thing, and to say that Stalin himself personally killed whatever 50 million people, or Mao killed 50 million people, I think I'm not even denying the numbers. I'm just denying the motivation that you're attributing it to.
It's like you can't
first of
look at
all,
it in one. You can't look at
millions
Irish
of
one way.
people died in China pre-Mao, and millions of people died in Russia pre-Stalin too.
Yeah, that's true. I get what you mean, that it's like sometimes it can be like a clickbaity talking point. It's like Venezuela.
I think this is the thing that, like, actually- this is the thing
you
that, like-
haven't looked at it, because
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
kind of right. You're not completely wrong that their policies caused it,
Yeah.
but you're too lazy to look into
The
like
context.
what actually did it.
Yeah.
You
And the
want to
history.
believe that there was this evil man with a mustache who was shooting people one at a time for 50 million. He spent his entire.
That's
fucking
not what they're
tenure.
saying. That's not they're saying that. They're saying that he didn't give a shit about. They're saying that it was orchestrated, which probably
Which
is not accurate.
again, not
Yeah,
true.
It's not accurate.
The gulags were orchestrated, but that's not what killed millions of people.
No, and I agree with you in that it's like you can't. It's so easy to cherry pick. You look at a tiny slither of reality and be like, "That happened," but you have to kind of look at the context. How many died before? How many died after?
Just
Different
look at-
situations. Ireland. That was a forced famine from a foreign power.
I wouldn't necessarily say that you should look at it that way, because by that token,
Yeah,
you could be
true.
like, well, then the British were so benevolent that they imported potatoes to Ireland and fixed everything. Again, that's not what happened.
No.
It's not like some evil person is orchestrating all of this.
Yeah.
Certain policies have consequences that you wouldn't like. Also, maybe at that point, they
see,
didn't
this is the thing.
expect
Like
it
we
to
have
go that bad.
in the potato famine in Ireland.
That was orchestrated.
But
Surely, right?
I would actually say that it's actually more Ali's thing, which was just that it was like ignorance in Britain. And they were
Right.
just sitting there being like, they're faking it. They're not starving to death.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
They were sitting there just being like, the reason that the Irish are dying is because they're lazy.
So it's just shit policy.
It's not necessarily shit policy, but they're not actually implementing a starvation. I'll go back and say that.
I don't think. Okay, how about this?
Because sometimes you can implement starvations in certain areas. For example, when there's when the U.S. took over Iraq, certain areas that were taken over by insurgents, they cut off supply. And I don't know if people died in it, but that's an orchestrated.
Wait, it's like the
policy.
Americans?
Yeah, I'm not again blaming the Americans. I'm saying it's a war thing. Sometimes you orchestrate things that leads to starvation. Where sometimes when you've got like a hostile territory that you're trying to take over,
A lot of people starved in Iraq because of the US.
I'm not saying that a lot of people starved. I'm
Right.
saying that if, let's say, 2 people starved because of that policy, that is a direct orchestrated thing. There were reasons for it. I'm not necessarily saying it was a bad thing because they need to take over the area, but I'm saying that's direct orchestrated famine, where your policy was to ensure that they don't get food or water, hoping that they'll capitulate.
What other examples are there in history of that?
Of
Either a
Dude,
government
World War
doing it
II,
to
World War
themselves?
World War II.
Look,
when Stalin encircled the German troops, that's how World War II was won by Allies.
But
Because
also
they
the
starved
Germans-
German troops
Really?
in Russia.
But Germans starving the local Russian population as well.
Which is a very common
And that
thing.
was part of that 20 million. Because the thing is, like, a famine doesn't just happen in the year that it happens. Like, if you
I don't know
destroy,
anything- I don't know
if you
much about
kill a bunch of farmers, if you destroy the agricultural area, like, if you salt the earth, like, all of these things contribute. And there's, like, decade-long problems after that. So you can't just sit there and say, like, well, the Americans were out there and then they had a famine. No, that's not how
not how it
famines
happens.
work.
It's not how
I'll
it
give you
happens.
another direct example. So people would say that Stalin forcefully burnt a lot of these fields that were supposed to produce food. But he burnt those. He not only burnt fields, he burnt houses. He burnt entire villages. But that was so if the Germans take over, they're not able to use that stuff against them.
Right.
So now one could interpret that as, well, look at Stalin. He's such a tyrant. He burned his entire food crops. It's like, yes, so that the fucking fascists don't take over. And you should be happy because they saved your ass too by doing it.
See, that's an interesting point too. I never thought about the fact that Stalin played a role in like the West winning.
Stalin paid
He won the war. He won the war. Yeah.
Damn.
Look, the thing is, the Americans take all the credit for it, obviously, because like history favors the victors or whatever, and they won the Cold War. But the thing is, look, the war was decided before the US entered.
Yeah.
The Russians had done so much damage to the German military that it was just a matter of time, and they just sped it along by putting in all these fresh troops.
Dude,
but they would have won after that anyway.
And the greatest battle that the Allies project as that Normandy landing, I'm not denying that a lot of people were killed in that.
Yeah.
But that was literally the last straw when Germans had nothing because they had been so badly beaten in Russia by Stalin. It's a remarkable feat that what Russians were able to do because no one expected them to come up with such sophisticated military strategy that could take over. Because Germans were just...
I don't know. I feel like this podcast, like, you know what Ali and I are constantly doing? There is other perspectives to the world other than the US's.
And this is not a controversial opinion at all. What we were saying about how Stalin won Second World War.
No.
Like,
And it's the same thing as like when I was taken out of context with the Uyghurs. Dude, all I was doing that whole time was just putting like a dispassionate analysis of why China would be reacting this way, which is just like perfectly rational. Every power would just be reacting to that. If there was a and the US does it all the time, right? Like if there is a state in the US that they put on the terrorist watch list, they get more oppressive on that. Obviously, because it's China, they're going to get more oppressive on it. But the point is that if there is terrorist activity, obviously the power that is in control at that point doesn't want terrorist activity. They don't want insurgents. So they're going to react to it. So you obviously look at why are the insurgents there? Because the thing is, like everybody, the myth that is in the West is that like this is because they're Muslim. There is 15 Muslim ethnicities in China. They're fine. There is a reason that they're getting targeted there, and that is because of US interference. And this is not a controversial point. This is insane that I'm constantly getting propped up in the media like ABC, Channel 9, Sydney Morning Herald. They're all sitting there just being like, I can't believe that you said that it's because the Uyghurs are causing trouble. Yeah, from China's perspective, they are causing trouble. I will take that to the grave. Like, this is not a controversial point. This is so uncontroversial that it's on Wikipedia, my point.
Yeah, and I can't reinforce enough what Jordan is saying. Jordan is not necessarily arguing that what's happening to the Uyghurs in a subjective way is right or wrong. He is saying from the perspective of the government, whenever there is instability, it's from their perspective, it's a problem. Now, you could argue that that problem is ideologically right or wrong, but from a state perspective, they're wrong.
No, but from a state perspective, it's the same thing as like what happens in North Korea, right? Like it's just like it's perfectly rational. Like, okay, the US in North Korea, for instance, they're always when there's a Republican, especially in, and also Democrats do this all the time. Barbecues. But Trump was a good idea of that.
Trump was having barbecues with him.
Exactly. Trump was doing the right action when it came to North Korea, right?
I agree.
Which is just extending 100%. An olive branch to North Korea.
Yes.
And you see it, actually the best example is the South Korean version of the Democrats. Every time they're in, they enact what is known as a sunshine policy. They just enact a bunch of shared factories that the North Koreans and South Koreans work at along the border that they can come in for the day and they can work. When that happens...
Can I just read this? This is a really interesting point. Lures says... Uyghurs are not the majority of Muslims in China, but it is only Uyghurs who are being targeted. Why? The US has sponsored Wahhabi terror groups in Xinjiang for years. They've been carrying out terror attacks and the government is trying to de-radicalize them.
Yes, this is not a controversial point. I don't understand. This is the first thing that you learn in a politics course, right? That Martin Luther King... From the government's perspective at the time, not Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, from the government's perspective at the time, was known as a terrorist.
Or Malcolm X. But
to this day, he is written up as a freedom fighter.
And now there's
It just depends on what side you're on.
There is no difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter.
It's not fake news. No. This is the facts.
No, this
is...
I
don't know.
It just depends what perspective you're looking at it.
I was literally arguing with my girlfriend about this the other day. I was trying to explain to her that there is literally no difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist. The difference comes from what side you're on.
Of course.
Right? And it's the same sort of principle that applies in this instance too. And
no, look, it doesn't take. I'm not disagreeing.
And the fact about the point that one of the audience members made about Al Qaeda and Wahhabism. So if you look into like just a little bit of history into what happened during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 80s, Afghanistan became a bedrock for fundamentalism, Muslim Islamic radical fundamentalism for the world. So it wasn't just the Uyghurs that came there. It was people that came from Bosnia. It was people that came from all over the world. If you were a radical Muslim, just like how in our lifestyle people wanted to go to Syria, Iraq to fight with ISIS, Afghanistan fighting against the Soviet was the thing to do. And when that happened, it just became this bedrock of radical fundamentalism. When the Soviets were eventually kicked out, these people ended up going back to their countries, which started Al-Qaeda, which started most of the fundamentalist movements, and not just in China, all over the world. And China was just one of those places. In Xinjiang, there was some issues that were created post this. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but this is their justification. And this is not just their justification. This is the same justification that was used by many states to counter radical extremism post-Soviet collapse.
So it's legit. You're saying that is legitimate.
I'm saying that I'm not saying how big the problem is or what the current motivation for the Chinese to target Uyghurs is, but I'm saying that yes, at one point it was a thing.
Yeah.
There were infiltrations between northern Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Central Asia into Xinjiang province. Again, it wasn't exclusive to China. It was happening throughout the world. China was also one of those places. Anyway, so you can disagree with that point of view, but it's just another point of view.
Look, I think it's totally just like I can't disagree. I mean, like look, I don't know enough about it. But I mean, like, put it this way, it doesn't seem that crazy to me. Like, I've watched The Matrix, all right? It doesn't seem that crazy to me that there is one giant narrative of the world that has been written by the victors, and like that there could possibly be a counter narrative that isn't that crazy
and this
at all.
Counter-narrative
that there could be a fucking counter narrative.
If you were living, let's say if I was living in Shanghai, my idea of the Uyghurs would be that they're all terrorists, because that's what the Chinese government has told me, right? That's what they want to perpetuate. In that context, if I was living in Shanghai and someone said, Uyghurs just create problems, that's why we kill them, I would be like, no, there's a counter argument too.
Yeah,
the state is being heavy-handed because there's both sides of the story. We just live on the side of the story where we completely ignore the Chinese perspective at all. So I'm just saying, just evaluate both sides and then choose your opinion. And people can have different opinions, so you don't need to
exactly.
No one needs to be crucified for having.
And that's kind of the point.
Unless we're inciting violence, I really don't think anything that we say should be off limits.
And that's the point of the West and freedom of speech.
You know what, guys? How many subs have we gotten on Patreon?
Some definitely got more because they like the racy content.
I can actually check.
I like how this is hot content for us, because everybody's always saying like, you should enact free speech, and that's usually the racy content. But in our instance, we are enacting free speech.
Exactly.
We're defending China.
Well, look, it's not even that. It's like I think that the whole
No, you know what? Actually, dude, Michael West, dude, after all this, dude, can you get the camera on me for a second? Look, Michael West did just sit there.
Wait, before you do it. No, not that one. Give me a better one. All right, give me a better one.
Yeah, fair.
And by the way, we got 14 more patrons.
Yes!
All right, well, I'll just assume that we got to the 20 that we needed.
Yeah, fuck it. Not worthy. Now, come on, 20. Get to 20. Come on, guys.
Not worthy. Get to 20. Get to 20
come
patrons.
On, 20.
No,
is this what PewDiePie said?
At a time, so do your thing.
We'll pump them up anyway, just for us.
They'll get there. They're nice people. We'll get to 20.
We'll get to 20.
This booze doesn't pay for itself.
I was talking to a journalist, and we'll continue this on the Up Late pod. But I was talking to a journalist today who is not part of the Canberra bubble, and he is constantly talking about the fact that in the US, in Australia, there is just this elite 20 journalists that sit there and they talk to all the think tanks that are funded by US manufacturers. They're funded by the US government, like ASPI, for instance, is the prime example of that. And they just get drip-fed information from these think tanks that are funded by weapons manufacturers. That is where the narrative comes from in Australia. We get our narrative from people that are sponsored by like companies whose vested interest is that people die. That is where we get our narrative. Can't we just agree that that is a bit fucked up?
I agree with that.
And so he's just saying...
I agree with that, yes.
He's just saying that, like, there is a counter-narrative to what Thales thinks.
It's not that radical.
It's really not. I feel so bad for George right
I feel
now.
so bad for you too. This is what happens when you get too deep into the Matrix. You have to defend yourself. It's like someone has a gun to a kid's head and you're like, maybe don't pull the trigger, and then you're the one that gets in trouble.
But as I was saying to myself today even, like, dude, even if they're 100% right, is it really worth pissing off our main trading partner? This is just irrational. It's an insane... As the failed YouTube video, like it's very good though. It's like it's an irrational fear, and it is just modern day McCarthyism. Modern day McCarthyism is China is evil. Full stop.
Yeah.
Take away all of the facts about it. Like, look, I say the same thing about like
valid points of them being fucked up.
Valid.
Yes.
But it's not the whole picture.
Yes,
there is another picture other than what weapons manufacturers are teaching you.
I
That get
can't
like
disagree with that.
full reign in Channel 9, full reign in the ABC, full reign in the Murdoch press. That is what you are getting fed day in, day out. A think tank, they get all of their points from China about a think tank that is paid by US and French weapons manufacturers.
It's insane, dude. I agree with you.
It's a bit fucked.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when it comes to the Uyghur population, a really good example of that is...
I'm gonna take the camera off.
Take it away. Fair. But when it comes to the Uyghur population, no one is denying that there is human rights violations there. I am denying that it is what this million prisoners that is made by one of these think tanks, the US think tank, funded by the CIA, that just says it's a million. You know how they came to that conclusion? This is just what they admit. This is how they came to that number. They asked a couple of dozen Uyghurs how many people they know that are interned, and then they extrapolated that number. So it is just word of mouth to begin with, and using a couple of Google Maps images and being like, yeah, that school looks like a prison. I'm sorry, but in the US presidential election...
It's hard to disagree with it.
In the US presidential election, they were polling tens of thousands of people. They still got it wrong. They still got it wrong with tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan's point was they were on the interview. Who answers polls? Losers.
Yeah, and he's right. I'm sorry, but like,
True,
if you're
yeah.
a Uyghur in US, you are one of the losers of the Uyghur population. You have moved there because you were fucked over. I understand that. Look, my girlfriend, her parents fully understand this. They have an extremely anti-China view. They have an extremely anti-Vietnamese government view.
Because of their experience.
Why?
Their
Because their
anecdotal experience.
Like,
Which you
dude,
can't disregard.
I can't disregard. His dad, like my girlfriend's dad, the last image that he saw of his dad was when he was like 8 years old. It's one of the saddest things I've ever heard in my life. He just waves to his dad as an 8-year-old. He gets into a US chopper. They never see him again because it got shot down by Viet Cong troops, that US chopper. He didn't even get to the battlefield. Just
can't disregard
gone.
that.
You can't disregard that. No. But that is a personal tragedy.
Yes. Yes.
And that is
there is a
very
distinction.
important.
There
It's
is a
like,
distinction.
if your
But
family
fuck,
gets
that's horrible.
killed by, I don't know, some Paki dude, your opinion of Pakis are gonna be quite fairly bad. But that's a personal tragedy.
Yeah.
I think the same thing applies. Like if you get information from expatriates that have left because of political persecution, you're gonna get. I'm not saying that you'll get like false stories, but you'll get a form of stories that is relevant to the people that came here.
That was
because the people that
came here were the ones that were fucked over by the incoming government.
I mean, look, that's my parents too.
And the ones that are like fine with the government
this is the
are
whole
still
thing.
there.
Yeah, it's my parents too. My parents.
Because look, your parents with Tito, your parents hate Tito as a Yugoslav dictator,
they got
right?
fucked over by it.
My family loves Tito.
And that does happen in Croatia. There's a split. Yeah. I think the majority of Croatia is in my parents' camp, but
that's your, because I think they're in Tito's camp.
well, maybe I'm wrong. But like, again, exactly like you said, it's completely subjective. Like, my family's whole experience of Tito was terrible. So obviously that doesn't disregard their situation. But this is like the same thing. This is what like conservatives talk about all the time. Anecdotal evidence. Yeah, I mean, we're emotional beings, and obviously emotion plays a big part in who we are.
Honestly,
but anecdotal evidence is anecdotal. Like,
yes.
If you
like my Vietnamese dad,
4 million people.
My Vietnamese girlfriend's dad, like, honestly, when I think about it, it brings a tear to my eye. That is really sad thinking about an 8-year-old being like, bye, Dad. And then that's the end. That's the end of his dad.
That's
like, fucked.
But I've heard very similar stories in Yugoslavia.
I was supposed to be at home, just for the record.
Jesus.
No, but this is the whole thing.
No, again, personalizing it. I don't personally hate.
But this is the whole thing.
I appreciate the struggle.
I'm sorry. Like, I really understand, and I do empathize with my audience now that I think about it, because our audience Stalin has this great quote, which is that one tragedy is a tragedy. Like, one death is a tragedy. 1 million deaths is a statistic. But the problem is, when you study politics for long, like Ali and I did, we studied this shit for 4 years in university.
Hey, I did a BA. I did visual arts.
Teching, yeah. I know how to set up a camera. You don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, Zoom.
Why are you still bad at it?
The thing is, like, I think Ali and I, as a result of that, we get something what is known as reverse Stalin syndrome. Like,
yeah, I can.
You just sit there and you're like, yeah, that's sad that happened to that one person. Like, it does bring a tear to my eye, because, like, Tu's dad, great human being. He's one of my favorite people on earth. He's a meme and he's a sweet man.
He's funny.
He's great. I like him. But the thing is, like, I've also read Chomsky, dude. And Chomsky just pointed out in highlight detail that it was like, no, the Americans invaded a sovereign government that was democratic in Vietnam. You know? Like, and you can't take that fact away.
No, you can't take it away.
And whoever's that snarky comment of like, and yet the Vietnamese do business with the USA. Dude, the Vietnamese, they just didn't want to be attacked. And when the fucking US fucked off, they are now okay with it. It's not that they were against the US. They were just against Agent Orange, if that's too much.
Also, Vietnam is like very... They say they're communists. They're very capitalist now.
But this is the whole thing about both China and Vietnam. What do? It just speaks volumes about these people. They, as soon as they lost the war, both of them, Mao and whoever the fuck took over after...
Chow. Who knows?
Chow. It pretty much is Chow.
What
Chow.
country?
Vietnam.
Ho Chi Minh.
But it wasn't Ho Chi Minh. He died during the war. So whoever the fuck took over, but both of them were just sitting there saying, let's open up trade routes. Okay, what's done is done. Dude, after their entire fucking country was devastated by US war, like, especially Vietnam. The fact that Vietnam is doing so well as to what it is doing now, truly a miracle. Like, everyone's always talking about the Korean and Japanese model.
They're the next Korea. They're the next Korea.
Exactly. What they have accomplished is phenomenal, and I really think this. People are always just being like, the West is best. No, dude, Vietnam is best. Those people are phenomenal human beings.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh's pretty stinky. It's not that good.
But they started with nothing.
Yeah, it's not the best, though.
They started with nothing,
it's not
dude.
the best.
They started with nothing. It was like a post-apocalyptic world where everyone was living in that groundskeeper Willie corrugated iron shack.
Good. It's not the best.
Yeah, but...
They've done well.
Europe was just like, oh no, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Not that, but the blocks around it, it was bombed. What are we going to do? Yeah. Dude, all of Vietnam was just... carpet, but like more bombs were dropped on Vietnam than all of World War II. Just in Cambodia. Just in Cambodia, there was more bombs dropped on. Just because they assumed there was trade routes there. And most of the time they were wrong. Most of the time they were wrong. More bombs dropped. More bombs dropped.
I didn't know that.
I'm spitting fire and some truth.
I didn't know that. Yeah, this is like rapping.
100% he's right.
I didn't know that.
We have to end this podcast. We're way
over. Okay, we'll continue it on. We're just going to
something.
continue this on straight onto the other podcast.